other person that I showed you, he was Bernard Russell. He was a very big guy in Britain. He did a lot of, the other day we were discussing, he was a philosopher and a mathematician. He did a lot of work on mathematics logic. And Bertrand Russell won a Nobel Prize not for mathematics but for philosophy. I will show you one of his videos that has a very special message for all of us. He was asked in one of the interviews, he lived very long. Our Ramanujan, he died when I think he was 32 years of age. But Bertrand Russell, he lived to be 100. So when he was quite old, then he was called for an interview in a TV station. Then he was asked one question. They said, if you have to give a message to future generations, what that message would be? I liked his message, so I want to share with you. That will give you an idea of what Russell was. So I would just play a small video. You just watch and see what kind of a man he was. He was a mathematician of very great value, and he was a philosopher, even of greater value. Not playing. I have a lot to learn from.
So, sir, after this video, can you share the link for the Omar Khayyam video in the
Yes, I would. It is a BBC documentary, a beautiful documentary. You would love
One last question. Suppose, Lord Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time. What would you think it's worth telling that generation about the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned from it?
I should like to say two things.
1 minute, I think. Share sound, optimize for video clip, and then it is video. Share.
One last question. Suppose, Lord Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time. What would you think it's worth telling that generation about the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned from it?
I should like to say two things. One intellectual and one moral. The intellectual thing I should want to say to them is this. When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy, ask yourself only what are the facts and what is the truth that the facts bear out. Never let yourself be diverted either by what you would wish to believe or by what you think would have beneficent social effects if it were believed. But look only and solely at what are the facts. That is the intellectual thing that I should wish to say. The moral thing I should wish to say to them is very simple. I should say, love is wise, hatred is foolish. In this world, which is getting more and more closely interconnected, we have to learn to tolerate each other. We have to learn to put up with the fact that some people say things that we don't like. We can only live together in that way. And if we are to live together and not die together, we must learn a kind of charity and a kind of tolerance, which is absolutely vital to the continuation of human life on this planet.
Take this. Yes. Okay, isko rakho. Usko logic. He lived his whole life for logic. He said, if you want to do something, look for the facts. Check the facts. Not that what everybody is saying or what the society is saying. You do, whenever you are out to do something, look for the facts. Check the facts and then decide what you want to do. So he was a great man and he did a lot of work on logic. I will share one of the ideas that he has, I promise to do some basic introduction of set theory, but set theory we will keep it away because we don't have much time. We will take a separate class for this. Today we have spent too much time on this. So, and he came up with a paradox, like it is in a set theory, but to water it down, he made it another way. It is called Barber's paradox. And paradox goes like this: there is a city. It is, it is his paradox, Russell paradox, we call it. There is a city where there is a barber. Suppose there is a barber, and in that city, any man, when you go to barber for shaving, so what he says, in that city, barber is what? Barber is somebody who shaves everyone but himself. Suppose there is a barber, so he will shave everybody, but he will not shave himself. That's the definition of barber. In mathematics, we define things first. So the definition is very simple. The barber is one who shaves everybody, but he does not shave himself. That is called a barber. Now you see the problem. In that city, everybody comes to barber for shaving. Now, where does barber go for shaving? If he goes for shaving, that means he is not a barber. You see the logic. When Lord Russell talks about facts and logic, one will go mad thinking about his logic. He almost, because of him, one mathematician landed in a hospital because of this same Lord Russell. There was a man who had written a big volume of books to be published. That book was to go for publication next day. In the evening, what happened? The letter from Lord Russell came. And in that letter, he came up with a mathematical theory. Whatever you are printing in this book, does it conform to this page? And when he read that page, he stopped everybody. He said, no, this printing has to be stopped because Lord Russell came up with this idea. And this theory cannot answer this single page idea. And that mathematician, he kept thinking about it so much he landed in hospital. I will tell you about this story when we discuss set theory. It's a very entertaining, very interesting story. And then the whole mathematics was turned on its head because of this paradox. And the paradox is called Barber Paradox. You do some research on it and you will know what I'm talking about. The theory is simple. There is a barber in the city.
So the
Barber Paradox.
So it reminded me
if there is a barber in the city, you can do some research on your own, or I will cover it next time in a class specifically for paradoxes. This is a mathematical reasoning behind it. And the reasoning we have, the basic thing is what in definition, what it says is the barber does not shave himself, but he shaves all other men. If he is shaving all other men, then who shaves the barber? This is the question Lord Russell asked in that letter. And this is a watered down version of his question about the set theory. And that man has written a huge volume for set theory. And the whole volume was stopped. It did not go to print that day. And he said, just hold on. I have to answer Lord Russell first. When he read his letter and read his book, he said, no, my books are useless. I cannot answer his question. And the question was this, the Barber Paradox. That big volume of books could not answer a single question, this one. And when you see it mathematically, it shows up something else, but this is the basic thing of it. Like, if there is a barber who does not shave himself, then who shaves the barber? If he shaves himself, then he is not a barber. Barber does not shave himself. There is a big story. You just enter in YouTube Barber Paradox and you have the task cut out for the whole day and whole night. You will not leave your computer.
Sir, I think I know who shaves the barber.
My goodness,
Maybe
you are headed for greatness. Tell me,
his
who shaved the
child.
barber?
Women don't have beards, right? So his wife can shave him.
In real life, we can find many solutions. But in mathematics, you are bound only with those conditions in the question. In real life, you can find many answers.
What if he
You
doesn't
just
have
search
a wife?
Barber Paradox.
That's what I
No,
was
no,
saying.
that does not come into
But the
question at
barber
all.
is a girl.
It is a paradox. It is a self-defeating paradox. It is a
So,
self-defeating
what if the
paradox.
barber
And paradoxes are very
girl?
interesting.
She won't have
You
to
remember
shave
I told
because
you about a paradox in Don Quixote's books where anybody coming to that
Sir.
city, the guard at the city gate will ask a question.
Sir.
Why you are here? If they tell a lie, they will hang him. If they tell a truth, they will let him go. So what happened? One day a person came. He said, I came here to be hanged. Now what do the guard do with him? This is the paradox. Now what do the guard do? What can the guard do to him? He says, I came here to be hanged. So if the guards hang him, then it is a problem. If they don't hang him, then also it is a problem. So this is what the paradox is. And because of Russell's paradox, the set theory was put on hold. And after a while, it was definitely published. But then he included a note there and he wrote that I cannot answer Russell's question using this theory. A lot of people worked after that and then they developed different versions of set theory. It is still an open subject. A lot of work is being done. So this is all this is all for today. So what we will do is there is a lot to be learned, lot to be discussed.
But then why
Sir,
can't
then what is the correct answer?
Sir,
No. This Barber paradox is something.
the barber is a
Turn the mathematics on its head, and still it cannot be answered because it is related to set theory. Set theory is a kind of foundation for mathematics.
So what if the barber is a girl? So what if
No, that is another. This is not the time to talk that kind of stuff. It is a mathematical question. The issue is, like Darwin based the natural sciences on a certain base, the same way mathematics is designed, and the whole thing is on a set theory. There is a specific branch of mathematics. We will discuss. I will introduce you to set theory and you will understand it. I am very sure. We will find a way to understand this. Like the Euclidean geometry, trust me, after 5-6 sessions, you will understand the basics of Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometry. Because what we will see, we will take these Euclid's formulas and we will see how it applies to cone. Then we will see how it applies to sphere and how it applies to cylinder. We will do it one by one. Each postulate we will take and we will take it. Then we will come to set theory. We will take set theory and we will do one by one many things. But this is not grade 2 syllabus. Once you know about it, you see the vast ocean in front of you. Then you will say, my goodness, I need to learn mathematics because I need to learn about Omar Khayyam. I need to learn about Russel. I need to learn about Barber's paradox. This is very interesting. I am just showing you dreams. I'm not telling you formulas because formulas you can find. If not today, you will learn the formulas in college. But you need to start dreaming today. Once you start dreaming, you know what beautiful thing lies ahead. You will start learning yourself. I am not here to teach you. I always tell you, I am not teaching you anything. Nothing. I'm not teaching you. I'm only showing light. Look here, there is something to be found. Now what you will do? You will go to YouTube, you will find your father and ask him, you will ask your mother, you will ask your parents, other person who are learning. Now you know how to look for answers. I don't give you answers at all. I never give you any answer. I just show you light and say, these are the things to be found. There are treasures in mathematics. There are treasures in science. So this is, now you know Barber Paradox. You will spend time exploring it. And then you will not understand. Fine, you will keep it aside. After 2 months, you will come back to, I have some idea, because you will be learning about Venn diagrams. You will be learning about some little thing, and this will stick again. Then you come back to it. This is why I insist width of knowledge, not the depth. Depth will come over time. Depth will come. You will know formulas. You will know how to prove truth. I just wish you to start looking for questions. School gives you answers. If they give you questions, the answers are already there. I want you to look for questions for which answers are not there. Answers I also don't have. You also don't have. Your parents don't have. Nobody has answers for it. Then you start looking for those answers. That is the quest for learning. You come to me, say, Bhagwan, I want to know about this answer. I say, no, but I don't know. I will look for the answer. Then I will come. These are the questions that change the world. The question that Russel asked changed the whole set theory on its head. A new branch. When Isaac Newton asked this question, that is there a mathematics that can do calculation of this astronomical proportion? He did not find any. Then he created one mathematics, calculus. He created calculus. Why? Because there was no mathematics before that. There was nothing that could answer his question. What do you think? Nobody saw the apple falling? Everybody saw the apple falling. But Newton asked questions. Why it is falling? Why Earth is pulling it? Why Earth is not being pulled? And I will give you those questions. Next week, what I was planning is, in fact, first thing I was thinking, should I continue or not? Really, that was one of the thoughts that was coming to my head. That are people really interested?
Or you should continue.
Going all
So
over
that's
their
really
head?
nice. You should continue. Yes, continue, sir.
Yeah. See,
Please
my
continue.
son is something of a different value. So if I tell him something he is not interested, I just keep quiet. I let him be. But with you, if I have promised you next day there is going to be a class, so I have to take a class, right? So it should be not like it becomes a burden for you to coming again, or one more class is there. If you are really finding value in it, I will continue. And I was thinking about bringing science questions one by one. Now we know about many things, and we will slowly get connected to